Hello, my name is Geiger. I'm a former teacher currently serving parents and teachers through my blog, themeasuredmom.com, and I want to thank you for joining me for another video blog post. This video is for the people I hear from several times a week asking me what to do with their toddler at home. So they've been going through my blog and they want to start teaching their toddler, but they don't know where to start. This video is for them, and it's called 5 Things You Should Teach Your Toddler. Now, before we dive into all those things, let's talk about what I mean by toddler. When I think of toddler, I think of someone who's not a baby, but not quite a preschooler. So a toddler would be a child who's most likely walking and maybe using a few words or trying to talk, even if you can't understand their words, and probably not putting everything into their mouth all the time. So I would think of a toddler as typically about age 17 or 18 months until almost 3. So what should you do with your toddler? The first thing you should teach your toddler is that books are fun. And of course, the way to teach that books are fun is to read to your toddler as often as he or she will listen, and of course, as often as you have time. It's going to vary depending on your situation. Now, when I had just one child, I read to her a lot because I like to do that and because I only had one child and there wasn't that much to do. And she didn't have any siblings to entertain her or keep her company, so she came to me a lot. So we read. And by the time she was a year old, she'd sit in my lap for 30 minutes listening to books. Fast forward, I now have a toddler who is the youngest of 6 children. He is 2.5. And I don't read to him every day even, although I try. I would say more like 4 or 5 times a week. And then his siblings read to him on other days. He was not really interested in sitting for books until he was closer to 2. Just because with me preparing meals for 8 people and doing laundry for 8 people and keeping up my business, I just don't have the time that I had when I was just parenting a single child. And so for you, it's going to vary. It's going to depend on if you're working full time or if you work from home or if you're a stay-at-home parent. All of those things will have an effect on how much you can read to your child. But try to read to them as often as you can, possibly a routine time, so maybe right before nap or maybe at bedtime or in the morning. Always, those routines can be helpful, but if you can't, don't worry about that. Just read to them as much as you can. Now, as for what to read to them, I would say to start with board books that you can sing. So some examples would be Down by the Bay or The 10 in the Bed, 6 Little Ducks. Those are all good ones to start with. Eventually, your toddler will also be interested in books that aren't board books, and those are good ones to do in that case would be rhyming books. I have a list on my blog, the ultimate list of rhyming books, and it's got 75 different books that you can choose from. And I also organize them by grade level or label them by age level. So you can pick from there and see which ones your toddler would be interested in. Something else that I would recommend is finding a favorite series of books that toddlers enjoy and reading from them as your toddler listens. My toddler's current favorite is the Elephant and Piggy books by Mo Willems. He will take a bunch off the shelf and then ask me to sit in the couch with him and read a stack. Loves them. His older siblings don't mind reading them either because they're short. Finally, I would recommend downloading and printing my little letter books from my blog. I've talked about these in another video, and at that time I had just printed them and put them in this little suitcase or this little tin lunchbox for my toddler, and he loves them. And today, in fact, when I was getting lunch ready, it was in the oven, we sat and read about 15 of them on the couch. I only stopped because it was time for me to finish making lunch. The letter books are books that can be printed and held in these little handheld books for toddlers, and each one has nursery rhymes and other familiar rhymes and poems that little kids enjoy. So I do recommend these for your toddler as well. So that's the first thing you should teach your toddler, is that books are fun. The second thing you should teach is the world is fun. And by this, I mean take your child into the world with you as you run errands or do whatever else you need to do. And as much as possible, leave the screens at home. Now, of course, you might need your phone to answer messages or whatever, but I would encourage you to not spend a lot of time on it and also not give one to your child to spend time on. When you're in the grocery store, don't give your child a phone or a tablet. Let them look around. There are so many things to learn and explore, even in something as basic as the grocery store. So you've got the grocery store, the post office, the bank, library. Those are all free places that you can take your toddler and explore. You can also take them to places like the farmer's market or even a store that has interesting displays. Our kids like going to IKEA. We can take our toddler out of the cart and he can have fun opening and closing drawers and cupboards and the kitchen displays. You can take your toddler to a home improvement store, which has a lot of interesting things to look at. Also in our community, we have a hunting and fishing store called Cabela's, where even though my husband doesn't hunt or fish, and neither do I, we still like to go there and take a look at the tent displays so our toddler can walk in and out of the tents. They have a huge aquarium. They have a lot of stuffed wildlife that we can look at. There's so much to see and do even if you don't buy anything. So take your child out into the world and talk about the things that you see. Engage him or her. That's tip number 2. The third thing that you should teach your child is playing is fun. And in this case, I'm talking about multisensory, playful experiences that your child can have at home. Now, if you've ever gone to Pinterest and searched for things that you could do with your toddler, you've probably seen items from different blogs that have to do with sensory play. And those can be very simple and extremely elaborate. So by elaborate, I mean where you take some time and actually use food coloring or something like that to dye dried beans or oats or cooked noodles, and you put them in a sensory bin and your child plays with them. They might get messy or they might make a mess on the floor, but the point is that they're exploring something new with their whole body. That's cool if you like to do that sort of thing. I actually have some posts like that on my blog from when I started blogging years ago, mainly because I wanted to give ideas for sensory activities for each letter of the alphabet. Now the time has gone by and I have 2 more kids and my business has grown and our household has grown and there's more things to do around here. I don't usually do elaborate sensory play activities. Okay, basically I don't ever do those with my toddler because I'm a type A personality and I just get stressed out by the mess and I don't honestly have time to set those things up. If you enjoy them, go for it because I bet your toddler is going to love it. But if you don't, no stress, that is totally fine. You can set up very simple play experiences. The most simple of all, get a bucket of water, probably maybe not a bucket, but a bin or a water table outside and give your child some cups or measuring cups and let them pour water from one container to another. It's amazing how much toddlers love this and they can keep at it for a long time. Another idea, get a sandbox. Let your child play in it. You can sit there and read a book while they're playing. Simple, simple, simple. So these playful experiences don't have to be fancy or require a lot of stress or planning on your part. The important thing is to make sure that you have a lot of open-ended play opportunities for your child. So that can mean play food and a play kitchen. It could mean a car ramp and lots of play cars. Make those things available to your child rather than putting him or her in front of a screen for long periods of time. So the fourth thing that you should teach your toddler is that letters are fun. So here we are. Some of you may have been watching this video hoping for some very specific academic skills to teach your toddler. I'm not going to tell you that you should do a structured letter of the week time with your toddler. Now, certainly there are some 2-year-olds who might be ready for that, but most probably aren't. Instead, you can just do things like read alphabet books to your child. You can get a set of foam alphabet letters and put them in the tub, and your child can play with them when they're taking a bath. You can get magnetic letters and have your child use them on the fridge or on a magnetic baking sheet. You can do something as simple as taking a stack of sticky notes and writing the same letter on each sticky note, maybe 10 or 20 times. Perhaps it could be the first letter of your child's name, and putting those sticky notes all over your living room or playroom, and then having your child collect them. You could say, let's get all the M's. Come on, let's find the M's. And you just pick them up one after the other and say the name of the letter when your child brings it to you. He or she may or may not make the connection that that scribble on the page is actually an M, but eventually they will, and you're introducing them to the names of the letters, and that's a good thing because you're building the foundation for later learning. One thing I want to caution you against is using traditional paper and pencil worksheets with your toddler. You can find things like that. You can find tracing worksheets where you trace the mountains. You can find things where you draw lines to matching pictures. Many educators will actually tell you not even to use those with preschoolers. I'm not going to go that far, but I will say please don't do traditional paper pencil worksheets with toddlers, and definitely do not have them do handwriting worksheets. Ugh, that is just way too soon. Instead, provide them with playful ways to learn about letters and strengthen the muscles in their hands. Now, as they get 2.5, closer to 3, there might be interactive printables they can use, like clip cards or do-a-dot marker pages where maybe they dot all the letter A's or something. But again, not every child is going to be ready for this at age 2. So don't feel the pressure to do that. Instead, make learning fun by talking about letters as much as possible and doing simple alphabet learning when you're out and about and playing. Finally, the 5th thing that you should teach your toddler is math is fun. And again, I'm not recommending formal learning. I'm saying doing things like counting around the house, counting the steps as you go up the stairs together, counting the plates out loud as you put them on the table, counting your toddler's socks as you put them on. Keep it simple. Also, read books about math. So these can be counting books, books about shapes, books about patterns, and then find ways to point out numbers in your world. So maybe you notice a number on a sign, maybe you do number puzzles together. There are so many simple ways to bring out math in the world around you without doing structure learning or worksheets. Another way to bring math into your toddler's life is to do a lot of matching and sorting. Those are very easy and toddlers are very naturally drawn to them. So get a box of buttons and have your toddler sort red and blue. Even if they don't necessarily know the difference between two colors, like they don't know that these are red, that these are blue, they might still be able to see the difference. So you could choose 2 high contrast colors like black and white and just watch them sort. Sometimes they'll even sort them before they can say color names, just by visual. So also sorting things like clothes, have them sit with you as you're sorting clothes and put the towels in one pile and the socks in another. Very simple, easy ways to make math a fun part of your toddler's life. So let's review those 5 things you should teach your toddler. Number 1, books are fun. Number 2, the world is fun. Number 3, playing is fun. 4, letters are fun. And 5, numbers are fun. So basically, life is fun. You can do all these things in very simple ways at home or when you're out and about on errands. Now, as your child gets older and you're thinking, I think that he or she is ready for a little more structured learning time every day with me, I would recommend looking into the ebook curriculum Playing Preschool. It's by the blogger at Busy Toddler. And honestly, if you are looking for a blog that is going to give you tons of simple play ideas for your toddler, that is the one you need to go to. It's amazing. And I'm actually an affiliate for her program for home preschool. So I would totally recommend looking into that, Playing Preschool. And then if you want a more focused curriculum that is all about teaching the alphabet, you can check out my Letter of the Week curriculum, which some older 2-year-olds may be ready for. But in general, I would recommend it for kids ages 3 to 5. And finally, if you'd like even more information about how to teach your toddler, if you'd like all the information in this video in an ebook format, a simple short guide with even more ideas for teaching your toddler, you can grab that for free if you're a blog subscriber. It's in the subscriber library. And if you're not, you can join our newsletter for free in this blog post. Just scroll down and you will see a place where you can sign up. And then right on your screen will pop up this ebook, which will give you even more ideas for teaching your toddler to enjoy the world. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to sharing another video blog post with you soon.